I want to thank the police officer here. He has given a good account of himself. But as you can see, he's not wearing a uniform. Because in the course of their withdrawal from VIPs, they have transformed themselves into civilians. So that you won't find out that they are still doing VIP protection. Please put back your uniform so that we can account for. So thank you very much. And thank you so much, Justice, for bringing us. And Commander, he told you that he didn't want to tell you how he knew me. It was actually in 2021, I think, they invited and wanted to detain him for revealing that he knows people who are in Boko Haram. And at that time, I was sharing power with Harry in Abuja. So they invited him to the military headquarters and they wanted to detain him. And I sent a message to the chief of army staff that if you detain him, we invade the military headquarters. And as a result, he was not detained. It's not. But the most important thing we have to deal with today, because they're giving very brilliant account of themselves, including professors, there's nothing else to ask, except that when we talk about security in Nigeria, the question I ask, and you should ask yourself, is who has the right of safety? That's the biggest question. And the moment you answer that question, you understand why there's no security. And it's that safety and security is not meant for Nigerians as a whole. It's meant for a tiny 1% of people in power and in government and in the business community. The rest of you are just audience in the security business. So the Nigerian police has 350,000 members on paper. But as you know, I do my research. They only have 210,000 of them that are actually working right now because most of them are traveling abroad but still collecting salary. And out of that 210,000 police officers that are left, about 110,000 of them are protecting VIPs. So you have only about 100,000 policemen left for 230 million people. That is why when they introduced their last withdrawal from VIP, I was laughing because I know there's no way you can withdraw police from VIP. The only unfortunate VIPs, those policemen will be withdrawn, those who have not renewed their license protection. In doing this, the IGP illegal, as I call it, was be smiling to the back because everybody will run back and tell God, please, this is Christmas period. And the criminals that they created are waiting for them anyway during the Christmas season. And the other thing you must understand is that insecurity or security happen as a result of two things that people don't discuss. One in Nigeria is as a result of intentional crime. But the most important insecurity we are faced with happens as a result of insecurity that is driven by structural problems. And when you talk about structural problems, forget about who you want to blame for what is happening in Nigeria. The biggest problem in Nigeria is that we have intentionally designed this country not to be protected because of the intention of those in power not to protect Nigeria. And let me tell you, most people don't know that Nigerian leaders, because of their inability to govern any territory, like small territories. Because that's the way you can impress. If you are supposed to govern the entire Lagos, you must start governing Ikeja. And so to the world I say, but what happens to Ikorodu? What happens to the other parts of Lagos? That is what has happened with regards to how Nigeria has been left in the hands of these structural criminals. And they are aided and abetted by the official criminals who are in uniform as security agencies in this country. There is a warning show, I would say, or report on Sowore reporters about a general in the army who was kicked out. His name is Ali Kefi. He has revealed, and most of you have attention deficit disorder, you can't read anymore. I don't blame you, there's too much to read. Go and read just what this guy has been throwing out in the last 4 or 5 days. You will be shocked. The Nigerian security system is aware of where all the big criminals are. He revealed that for 8 or more years, Shekau was living at a place in Southeastern Forest that is known to all the military officers in the country. How is it that they are bombing even villages of people who are not involved, but they cannot bomb where Shekau is? Because the insecurity system is big business. And this is why I'm not one of the people who is very quick to blame the Fulani man. Because it's not the Fulanis alone that are into crime. We only do what lawyers call alibi. We always want to blame somebody or give an excuse for all our failures. At the time, it was the Niger Delta militants that were problems. Now it has moved up north. But you should ask yourself, why is the Fulani man succinctly having the ability to commit crime at the rate at which they are coming, apart from connivance? It's economic. Beef, meat that you are eating is a $30 billion industry for the Fulani man. And there's none of you, particularly Yoruba people, there's nothing you don't eat as part of the body of a cow. The Yorubas are the only people who I know who eat everything in the body of a cow, except the sheep. Even the sheep, they will eat through, what is that thing they call towel? Shaki. There's no way you eat shaki without eating sheep now. Because that is where sheep is domiciled inside the body of the cow. Nose, you eat, bokoto, leg, yash, everything you eat. Where does your money go to? It's Fulani man who owns the cow. I once stopped on my way from Taraba. It's not funny. So Adama, when I ran in 2018, and I stopped by a Fulani man, I spoke to him on the road. The man said he has with his child over 40 million naira in that crowd, and they have some 1,000 cows following him. I said to him, why would you carry 40 million naira? Would you want to put in a bank? He said, the banker is a thief. I don't want them to take my money. I said, so what do we do for you to solve this problem? He said, give me a hydroponic place to put my cows. I will stay. I don't like walking around. But nobody is doing that. The question is ingenuity and the capacity of leaders to think appropriately to solve 90% of our problems. But we don't want to solve our problems. We like to romanticize our problems. That is why every time we're always looking for somebody to blame. And when we finish looking for somebody to blame, then we are looking for somebody to help us. That is what brought us to Trump. Every night, Trump is coming over. It's coming. And I asked them 2 weeks ago in Lagos, what if Trump doesn't come? What happens? And Trump still hasn't come. Just like Jesus Christ hasn't come back. And you guys are expecting Jesus Christ to come and fix electricity. And Jesus hasn't come back in 2,000 years. And now you're expecting Trump to come and help you fix the problem of Boko Haram. Trump is not going to come because America doesn't help in places where it cannot benefit. I lived in America for 20 years. And all the problems they have in the world, America created most of the problems. Everywhere America intervenes in the world, they are still in the hands of the people they said they want to save them from. Go and talk about Afghanistan. Who is in charge of Afghanistan? Taliban. Go and talk about Libya that they broke apart. Where's the problem from? Small arms. Libya. Go and ask what they did in Syria. The guy who is president of Syria used to be, we have bounties of $10 million placed on his head. And he's now the president playing basketball with CENTCOM directors in America. That's the highest military command in the US. So foolishly, they're expecting America to come and save you. And when that salvation don't come, then you start looking in the sky all the time. So we have a problem as a people that we are always running away from our problems because we don't want to solve them. And those of us who want to solve them, you don't believe that we can solve them. Because we don't look like the people who don't know how to solve problems. That is why all the time when we tell you that solution to Nigeria's problem is revolution, you say, well, if there's a revolution, how is it that there won't be war? Are you not facing war now? Is it not low-level war that you are facing? And I want to say to you, most of Nigeria's insecurity problem came from injustice. Somebody was, Kuti was talking about, we need to arm ourselves. What did Nnamdi Kanu do? Set up an ESN to arm their own people, to protect them against their own enemies. What did you put him? We took him, tried him, Yoruba prosecutors, Yoruba judge, because you Yoruba like to distance yourself from problem. And then you carry him and put him in Hausa jail because he set up a system to protect his own people. Is that not part of the right to have self-determination? But most of you that supported the injustice against Nnamdi Kanu are saying it are Yoruba intellectuals. on Twitter who are saying it is hard to die. It's not me every day because I fight for him. Yoruba people mostly. And I'm not blaming Yorubas in general before they start saying that, oh, Sowore said it's going to kill Yoruba people. No. I am just saying that you should search your conscience as to the reason why you are in the situation that you are in. The president of the country, whether he's a Muslim or not, is a Yoruba man. And we are here still blaming Fulani. Is Tinubu a Fulani? No. This guy is from Lagos here. You know, I think Governor will say some of our leaders are not from Nigeria. It is true. But Tinubu, at least, is from Nigeria. So why is it that he doesn't care about Nigeria? Yes, you can say it. But the question is that how can you be from a place that doesn't even exist? The Nigeria we're all shouting about is the creation of some British guys. It's a supermarket that was created as a business in 1901 by the Niger Royal Company. That is the name of the company that created Nigeria. And you are here asking somebody that he should die for an idea that was done by a third party. So how can somebody be in Nigeria when Nigeria also don't believe in you as a person? Am I not here? This is my friends, they declare me wanted every week. See, I'm the biggest problem. I'm the biggest terrorist in Nigeria with the police. You know, by the time I leave this place, they will have declared me wanted again based on what I'm saying. That's not the problem. I'm also the one who had to fight for their pension, by the way, that have been removed from the pension system. I fought. Yes, they have been removed from the pension system. But they hate me with passion, but I love them with passion. Who retire and can't live a normal life, can't buy medicine, can't send their children to school. That is what we call leadership. Extending passion to people who hate you. Are you getting me? But to not waste too much of your time, right? As has been said, Nigerians always have prescribed solutions. State police, local government police. I support any kind of policing. Even campus policing. My problem is that if you have a state police, who regulates it? Where do you train the policemen? And who has an oversight over a state police? Because already we have practically what we call state police everywhere. We just don't call them state police. I'm not telling you if state police in Ondo State, but the people who are working there don't have employment letters. And you want them to do magic. It's not going to be possible. So every police that you set up without addressing what is the meaning of policing will end up being the former Nigerian police force that we are all running away from. All of them will still march eventually because the conditions that make them to be terrible are also present, and without addressing those fundamentally, we cannot solve the problem. And I want to talk about one last thing, which is you must understand that any government that wants to destroy you will first target education. And that's what Nigeria has done over the years. That's why I don't want to hear from Obasanjo when he says he knows Nigeria. You are the one who started destroying Nigeria's education in 1970 with Ali Moscow. When you came back, you finished the Nigerian education system. And Nigeria has now reached a point where Nigeria can't even afford to vote for educated people. You have to have a fake certificate to be president. You have to not have gone to a school to be governor. Everybody you hated or your parents told you you shouldn't have to be in secondary school, primary school, they are now your governors, your senators, they are now your House of Rep members. That is why Nigeria is celebrating an American lawmaker, an American House of Rep member. Okay, they have been visiting Nigeria as if Nigeria is some banana republic. I'm sorry, we are a banana republic. In fact, we are a plantain republic. There's no question about it. And we are celebrating it. These guys are the equivalent of your House of Rep members. But ask yourself, what is your Senate doing? Nothing. What is your House of Rep doing? Nothing. What is your President doing? Nothing. Apart from, of course, saving his younger brother in Benin Republic. And whatever we do to help him, as long as there's bad government, nobody can help Tago. Just as nobody can help his elder brother here, Olatino. Because when the people are ready, all this nonsense will be over. But let me tell you, until Nigeria gets this right, the rest of Africa cannot get it right. Because they look forward to us, they look up to us, and they're expecting that if we get it right, we'll be an inspiration to the rest of Africa. I want to say one last thing before I go. Yes, my lord. So they're talking about lawyers as they're talking about lawyers just now, that lawyers are aiding and abetting crime. You must understand that the legal profession is the only profession that allows a person to be an accomplice to a crime. Legally. The lawyer is the person you will tell, I kill somebody, I will go and defend you. And tell the judge, never did it. So don't be surprised at what lawyers do. What lawyers do is define what they call the cabaret proof. A lawyer is entitled to defend anybody, no matter how morally abhorrent their crime is. So please leave lawyers alone and let the police, if they find them culpable, handle them. Thank you very much for coming.